Okay, folks, so this is the course tour for session 3. Just quickly, before I start, I wanted to just make a couple points about the resources or readings that you tackled in session 2. So first, the Scotch-Paul piece, just quickly, the important takeaways from that piece were, one, she went over the civic, shows that civic engagement is actually part of the U.S. from actually a long way back. And she actually highlights Alex de Tocqueville's Democracy in America, which was written in 1830s. And if you recall, this piece, or de Tocqueville, was mentioned in our session 1 materials. One of the key things about de Tocqueville is that he marveled at America's spirit of volunteerism and its ability to form voluntary associations as solutions to important public problems rather than sort of using government intervention. Yet at the same time, Scotch-Paul makes the case in the piece that I shared with you that we cannot fail to really understand that the very real role that the government or the state places in providing the infrastructure that's necessary to make civic life happen, things like roads and the postal system. And so voluntary associations grow in response to seeking demands from government. And so it's a sort of symbiotic relationship, she asserts. And so voluntary associations are sort of a mediating set of organizations that help sort of go between local communities and the federal government. So they're sort of an essential part of helping make civic life work. And in the piece, Scotch-Paul also asserts that maybe some of the problems of civic engagement that we face today might more be about the lack of structures that allow local voluntary associations to find each other, find people to link each other to other folks. And it might be more like the nature of our politics has changed and that it no longer helps create a mechanism for citizen engagement, which then she also asserts is compounded by class and gender roles as well. So really, she's asserting that the structure of our government has not helped facilitate civic life. And that's part of the problem. The other resources shared last week were some things from the community toolbox. Um, and basically, it provided an overview to their resources, sort of their model of community change and what it entails in terms of things like collaborative partnerships and planning and action. And they also work from sort of a set of values that we should all kind of live in healthy communities and that community research should work towards sort of a public good and improving people's lives. And so they kind of went through their principles, which are basically sort of fairness and that all stakeholders should be involved when addressing community issues, that you need to get leadership from the community, but at the same time, you need to have planning and evaluation and outcomes. And then I would encourage you to check out their action planning framework if you hadn't looked at that during session 2. And then finally, there's a video from my colleague Peter Levine, kind of giving sort of his high-level look at sort of the challenges of civic life and that we're sort of asserting. And his basic premise too is that we really are the ones that need to kind of solve the problems, and that we need to overcome some of the key sort of collective action and discourse problems that currently exist in the U.S. So as we kind of get situated for session 3, and before I kind of go over the key things for session 3, if you haven't listened to the intros from the rest of your classmates, really take some time and see who else is here in the class. I mean, the people have some pretty interesting backgrounds, and I think you'll see some connections between yourself and others. And in session 3, we'll start to look at a wider range of activities that encompass civic engagement. So first, you'll start by taking a couple of quizzes. So here again we have, if we look at the overview for the course, there is the discussion board and the summary by your classmates for this week, and that they'll have questions prompted. Then there are these couple of questions that are really, what kind of social advocate are you? And there's 2 types of quizzes you can take that should give you insights into sort of the things that motivate you most to be involved in the community. Again, we have some readings for the week, another chapter from the Better Together book, and then also a chapter in Robert Cole's Call to Service book, chapter 2. And it really provides a broad overview of the diversity of contexts in which service and community engagement happen. Then there are two reports, one on millennials and the other on those who are civically interested but not currently active in what the report calls the civic bystanders. And this is actually a video of the report, but there's also a larger report if you wanted to read it after watching the video. And then, of course, just a reminder that there's key insights for this week as well as a reflection. Again, just a reminder, the key insights are really things that were triggered in your mind by engaging with the materials from this week. Really short 1 or 2 sentences about key takeaways or key insights, not looking for synopses again. And then a reflective piece here, wanting you to reflect sort of on what kinds of service you've experienced or what some of and whether or not some have been more meaningful than others, and also getting you to think about your personal engagement project. Then a link to the Civic C tutorial. Some of you have already worked your way through this as well. And then, of course, being able to link to the major projects folder, as well as a course feedback form if you want to provide some feedback. So really, just a quick reminder in terms of your personal engagement project, I'm really open to a wide range of things that people have to propose. And whatever you put forth in your initial proposal, you don't necessarily need to stick to, but the idea is to get your thinking started now. So you might consider doing a volunteer set of volunteer hours in an organization you've wanted to volunteer with. You might come up with a community action project. You might get engaged in sort of a political campaign since we're in election season. You might think about doing a fundraising event. Basically, the idea is to take some of these ideas that we are exploring in the class and put them into action. And you certainly can use existing community engagement activities that you're doing, but the idea is to kind of bring some new thinking or a new lens or a new look on it. For instance, I had a student who had been volunteering with a food pantry for a long time and wanted to learn more about the financial end of things and decided she would kind of explore how the food pantry was funded and how its budget worked and that sort of thing. I had another student who was interested in seeing if he could organize a group of community members to do a cleanup in his neighborhood, and kind of went through a planning process and advocating and talking to people and trying to organize people to do that, and then reflected on that. I've had students do fundraisers or awareness events or create awareness materials or actually go out and talk to people to understand how their jobs work in community settings or talk to different constituents. I'm really open to a broad range of things, but you should think of something that should be fairly substantial engagement over the course of the semester. And once you get your proposal to me, I can kind of give it back to you to see if, yeah, you're in the right ballpark or not. So that's session 3. And as always, feel free to contact me or let me know if you're experiencing any problems. And I look forward to the following week. So thanks.